Hi there, I'm Ken Lammers, and this is Minor League Matters. Right here, we have baseball from Nicaragua, Costa Caribe, the team I've been rooting for there. Right here, we've got baseball from Taiwan, and Fubon Guardians, who I've been rooting for from there. And right here, we've got baseball from Korea, and really haven't picked a team there. If I could get a hold of a Heroes jersey, which says Heroes rather than Kiwalm across it, I'd probably pick Heroes. But this is what we've got for baseball right now. Oh, and by the way, for those of you who aren't paying too much attention, the Bundesliga started, German soccer started today. So, we also that meme that went through Facebook and Twitter saying Americans are bored enough that they will watch soccer now. Now's your opportunity. It's quality soccer, foosball or association football or whatever you want to call it. But what we're going to talk about today are these three things. We're going to talk about the level of play. We're going to talk about the presentations, which are made by the various companies that are broadcasting, people are broadcasting, and we're going to talk about the fields we see in each of these. So, sit back and let's get cracking. Okay, so if you're a sports guy, the only thing you're watching right now is baseball from Nicaragua, Taiwan, or Korea. Although as of today, they did start Bundesliga, so if you want to watch some high-level soccer, that's out there too. We'll get to see whether that meme that went through Facebook and Twitter and everything about how American sports fans are so bored they might actually start watching soccer. We'll see. Anyway, here's what we got. Let's start out by talking about the basic level of play in these teams. Okay, as I go through and watch this, probably the best level, of course, is not up right now. Let me see if I can put to a point where there's a game ongoing. So the best level that you can watch at the moment is going to be Korean over here. Now, Korean ball, it's not Major League Baseball, although they do swing for the fences a lot more than I think they used to in the past. They actually play ball on the field too. It is, you hear consistently said that it's somewhere above AA but below AAA baseball in the States. I think that that's a fair description of the ball. It is just good games, solid games to watch. Now, Taiwanese ball, on the other hand, is up and down the scale. You hear that a lot of people say that it's somewhere about advanced A, right? I think that batting in Taiwanese baseball is probably AA. Pitching in Taiwanese baseball, usually with starters, is probably about advanced A level, maybe sometimes verging on AA. But, up and down through that scale level. And then when you end up with relievers, you're talking A to advanced A, that level. Okay, so pitching is definitely behind the batting. And then when you get fielding, single A. It's not advanced A, or if it is, that's kind of the highest level it gets. Generally, it's single A, and maybe even dipping down the rookie league levels. Although, of course, since we are going to have a rookie league next year as the MLB continues to destroy baseball in the States, good on you guys. But it is, it's fun to watch. It really is fun to watch. Although I will say you end up with a lot of runaway games, particularly if you're watching anybody play the Rakuten Monkeys. Who just basically are the Yankees of that league, and just whenever they're playing, you just assume you're going to lose by 7 or 8 runs. And then we have over here, where I've been following Costa Caribe in Nicaragua, in their Palmares League, the GPO league. You have baseball, which is probably pretty even, but it's somewhere between A and advanced A, I would say. Now, this is, to be fair, this, as best I can tell, I don't speak Spanish and I don't read Spanish, but as best I can tell, this isn't their professional league. Their professional league plays in the winter. This is a summer league, and these are amateur teams. Which explains why these games are only played on Friday nights, Saturday nights, and Sunday mornings, right? So it is fun to watch. I mean, the level of play is even, pretty much across the board. Batting, pitching, fielding. I would say, to be honest with you, the fielding here is quite often better than the fielding in a Taiwanese league, because these guys are just playing a lot more solid baseball. Now, that may be because the batting's not quite as good, and the ball's moving at slower speeds, right? And the pitchers aren't pitching at super high speeds or anything like that. I don't have scouting reports into these folks, and I don't have a gun on them, and they don't go up 73 miles an hour, 85 miles an hour, 97 miles an hour. You ain't seeing that on the pitches. So you just kind of got what you've got, but these are fun to watch. Now, that's general overview of the games. Let's talk about the parks they play in. Over here, Korea, you've got, parks that would probably be, as I've seen most of them, probably AAA parks, right? Look like they seat about 20,000, and good parks, good sized parks. Of course, they're all empty right now. But they're all look like they're brand new. Just like all brand new, and they follow the modern trend in building parks, where you don't give a hoot about your clientele, you don't care about the fans, so you don't provide any cover for them, right? There is no ceiling or roof to keep the sun off anybody or anything. They don't, they do the modern thing where everybody's out there in the weather, and in Korea, of course, it's cooler longer, so it's not necessarily terrible for them right now, at least. Now, it may be in the future. Taiwan, the fields look like AA fields, right? Look like they sit maybe 10,000. They may sit more. But they're, realistically built for what they're doing. And they also look like they're pretty brand new fields. These would be fields that would be acceptable in almost any AA team. Right, for almost any AA team. Solid fields. Now, Taiwan right now is allowing 2,000 people into the stands. And, at first they allowed 1,000 in, and they all had to stay like at least 3 seats away from each other and that sort of thing. Now they're letting 2,000 in, and they're letting you sit next to your girlfriend, but you got to be 3 seats away from everybody else, or your kid, or whatever, right? So they're allowing little clumps, but generally spaced out. As a matter of fact, it's kind of funny. They've started allowing food in again, but it can't do fast food. So what they're doing is they're giving meals to people. So you get off work, you go to the game, and I guess you go buy a meal, and it's in a plastic box and the whole 9 yards. Pretty nice. Actually, real meals. And here we've got the Nicaraguan League is playing in things that are, well, you can see the field there right now. That's a fairly rough field. Looks a lot like the baseball field I played Little League baseball on, except larger, of course. Just basically got dirt. You get, in the infield, you got grass out there, and in the outfield, if it hadn't died yet from being run all over and everything, you ain't got anybody out there. At least it doesn't look like you got anybody out there replacing bad parts in the sod or anything, or going way, way out of their way to flatten something down if it's an inch above the plane or something like that. That's what a lot of their fields look like, although there are some, if you watch Boer, which you can watch B-O-E-R on YouTube. You can watch Costa Caribe on YouTube too, if you go to this W channel. But sometimes you have to watch it on the Canal 22 Via on Facebook, which I got to give it to them. They're out there making sure the games are shown, and now there are times they have a hard time there, but we'll talk about that in broadcasting. The fields are rough, right? But the teams playing in Managua and that, of course, are playing where the pro teams play, so they have nicer fields, which look a lot like the fields you see for, say, Taiwan, right? Look like maybe they can sit somewhere between 5 to 10,000, maybe more, and they're nice fields. But a lot of them here, like Costa Caribe and these others that are off on the east coast of Nicaragua, they're playing on fields that are fields of love, right? These are fields you're playing because you love the game, and you built an indestructible field 20, 30 years ago, and it's still playing, right? Just like my Little League field. If I go back to Lexington, Kentucky, it's still there. The dugouts are more big square boxes rather than the long, elongated things we're used to in the States and like they've copied here in the Asian leagues. And on top of the boxes is, more fans. I don't know what they're up there, if they've got seats or whatever, but they've got a railing up there, and it's a nice place for fans. I would have some problems with these fields because apparently if you're going to build a field to last for a while, you do this instead of putting up netting through which you can watch the game, which is bad enough. I realize behind the plates is necessary, but it sucks the further you get out and the more you have to turn your head. But instead of putting up netting, they've got chain link fences up, right? That's what's in front of their place where the fans sit. Although there are a fair number of fans that climb onto the outfield wall in about half the stadiums, and that's fun to watch too. They climb up there. Every so once in a while you see an ump goes out between innings. They kind of pretend to jump off, and they jump right back on when the ump goes back. Of course, they're old stadiums, smaller old stadiums. They have cover for the fans. So there are roofs, so the fans can sit there, and despite the fact that it is super hot, they can watch the game without dying. A lesson that Major League, Minor League, Asian baseball could probably learn from. And having said that, let's talk about what's going on with the presentation you get in each of these games. If you speak Spanish, I am fairly certain that you will have a blast watching the games from Nicaragua. I don't speak Spanish. It is a problem because, I don't know about the rest of you all. The way I watch baseball is generally I don't sit there every second taking notes on it. I'm doing things. It's on. I hear crack. I turn, or I hear the announcer get excited. I turn and watch what's going on, right? That's why baseball is a great sport. You can have it on all the time. I grew up in a household where if it wasn't on the TV, it was on the radio, right? Cincinnati Reds. But if you're looking for the announcers to make the right noise for you to turn around and all that and see a big play, apparently in Nicaragua they speak Spanish fast and loud, even when it's just saying hi Bob, right? It's because they're just going and I'm like, and I'll be doing something, I'll turn around and they'll just had a 2-run double and I won't even realize the ball's been hit. That's another thing. Most of the stadiums, now a couple of them they actually have wired up well enough you can hear the bat hit, but most of them they don't. This is being put out by people who are clearly trying their best with equipment that would be something that you or I might be able to do a video of if we want to go film a local high school game, right? Probably a little bit higher quality than that, but not a whole terrible much more. And you got to be impressed. They're making what works work, and they're putting it out for all of us across the entire world. This is just awesome. But it's awesomer if you understand Spanish, I'm sure. And I'm pretty sure that if we stay on lockdown much longer, I'm going to pick up Spanish. So next we've got Taiwanese baseball, which of all of them is giving the best presentation. They got local people, although at least one of their announcers, the one that announces for the Fubon Guardians, is from Canada, although he's an expatriate and lives there. And I think they've got an English guy on, maybe brothers, the team in yellow there, the CTBC Brothers. They're the ones with the elephant. They, I think, have an English guy that calls some of their games. But the rest of them are locals, generally people who seem to have played some ball and come to the States, and they call the game. God bless them, they call the game. Because, you know, I'm a big fan of the person who's talking on the screen, calling the game, so I know what's going on. I cannot pay attention to every second of every game. I know some of you can, I can't. I need somebody to be calling the game for me, and they call them. And it is amazing, and like I said, God bless them for it, which makes this probably, in my opinion, the best experience. Middle ground, I don't know, I want to call it bad experience, is what we've got here in the States, or ESPN2 is running the Korean League. They put American announcers on, which they could have done something where they tried to pull announcers from somewhere that are Korean or who have played in Korea a lot or something like that and put them in. But they chose their own announcers, and at the beginning, they clearly didn't know anything, right? They don't have anybody because they're calling the games from home, right? They're not in the stadium. And so they're getting the feed. They're not in the stadium, so they're getting the feed that's coming from Korea, right? So they don't have any control over the feed. They don't have anybody in the ear going, this is you. He bats 356. Da, 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 da. They don't have any of that feed going on. And for large portions of the game, if not most of the game, they don't call the game. They just do not call the game. Once in a while you get, oh, that's a third strike. Or, oh, fly ball. And worse, you know, I've sat there and watched like 3 innings while they're interviewing somebody. Here, let me see if I can find one of these for you to show. You'll sit through innings where they're doing this, right? They are ignoring the game, generally. Now, I don't know in this particular time, they may have actually called a little bit on this one. But generally, they're ignoring the game. They're talking to whoever's in the third box. You know, they'll ignore the game. And I saw a triple one day, and, you know, and they just ignored it because they were talking to somebody, right? And mostly what they're talking about is, ooh, you played in Korea. What's it like playing in Korea? Or it's, with this gentleman here, probably, what's going on with the MLB? Will we be playing in June? Will we be playing in July? Will MLB try to screw the players and get a salary cap out of this? Will MLB screw a lot of people around the country and get rid of the minor league teams? You know, will MLB screw with the game and use this as an excuse to put designated hitter in for permanently? The answer, by the way, to all those is yes. Yes, yes, yes. They're going to use this to get rid of a bunch of minor league teams, which will kill baseball in large swaths of the country. They're going to use this to try to get a salary cap in place, or at least get headed in that direction, which isn't necessarily bad. Baseball probably could use a salary cap. And they're going to use it to get rid of designated hitter, which, of course, is an abomination and wrong in all ways. You know, a pitcher can turn a piece of bat too. It's your fault if you don't have him in batting practice. And you're missing large portions of the game. Or at least you are, if you're not missing them, you have to be watching the game because they're not calling it. Now, they have gotten better on that. There have been times when they call 2 or 3 innings, or they'll at least say third strike, or ooh, fly ball, or something like that. At the beginning, they were really bad. They have gotten somewhat better about it. But it hurts the experience. I mean, and KBO would have done better. I don't know how they would have done financially. They would have done better if they just set it up so that they got announcers that knew the league and were good enough in English that they could call games and talk about the actual league and not obsess on MLB. If I'm watching Korean ball, which is good, solid ball, I want to be paying attention to the game, not to people over here doing a talk show. Go out there and, get on your internet. You can watch things on from Nicaragua on YouTube, particularly Boers on YouTube, but you can sometimes pick up on this W channel. You can pick up Costa Caribe. You can pick up Costa Caribe on Canal 22 via on Facebook. So it's out there pretty much every Friday at 6, at 8. Pretty much every Friday at 8, every Saturday at 6, and Sundays at noon, or I'm waiting for board to start. It's going to start at 2 o'clock, right? Here we've got the Korean League games, except Saturdays and Sundays, start at 6:35 a.m. You can find them on Twitter. You can time shift them by watching them later on Twitter. 6:30 on Monday, or on Monday through Friday. 5:05 a.m. on Saturdays and Sundays. That's a little rough. KBO here, Korean. Now the reason Taiwan's playing when it's playing is because they're exactly 12 hours away from us, and they have to be playing in the evening because they're already getting 70s, 80s degree temperatures, right? They just playing in the daylight is not going to happen, right? It's just not. Korea is still fairly cool at this time of the year. Their games start pretty much every day at 5:35 a.m., although they have some afternoon games, and when those happen, they start at like 1:30 to 3 a.m., right? Now, I've got them on Sling, so what I'm doing with them primarily is I'm DVRing them, and I'm watching Taiwan in the morning. I'm watching my DVR of the Korean game in the afternoon, or I guess once we actually start working again, the evenings. And then, of course, since the good old Nicaraguan games are on Friday, Saturday, and Sundays, I'll be able to watch them later. So, works out pretty well. Hunt them up and watch them because they're fun to watch. And you could even develop new language skills. Ooh! And there's the Pomoras League in glorious 720p on my television. That is just starting up, and that's Boer Indians. I'm not sure who they're playing today. Played through the Roku on my YouTube. Just started. Which means it's a good time to stop this. So that's it for today. I would normally tell you now to go watch minor league baseball, but since we don't have any of that, I'm going to tell you to go watch Nicaraguan baseball, Taiwanese baseball, Korean baseball. And if you're really desperate, go watch the Bundesliga because it's high quality soccer. It's worth watching if you're a soccer fan. Let me do all the stuff I think I'm contractually mandated to do if I'm on YouTube. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button, wherever that's at. Hit the bell so that you know when I do these things, because this is a hobby. I ain't making a living doing this. Now, mind you, if one of you wants to give me like a $10 million check or a $20 million check and say, do this for a living, call me. Wow, how many people know that means anymore? But otherwise, make sure you got the bell so that you get pinged when I do those things. With that, I'm just going to say bye, and I'll see you next time. Masalama, y'all.